Hi everyone, it's Mike here. Today we're looking at another Dictionary Art Journal page, and this week, week number 9 on the Dictionary Art Journalers Facebook group is the letter E. And as you can see, I've broken out my indigo blue metallic paint. This is the Copper Miss Moneypenny, and I'm going to paint the copper paint all over the double page spread, and I've blocked out with a post-it note the word that I'm actually going to be using today. And now that my double page spread has a liberal coat of the copper paint, I'm going to heat set it before I move on to my next step. Now that it's nice and dry, I'm going to be using the Gears mask from TCW, and this is the Dina Wakley black gesso and a sponge, and I'm going to apply the black gesso through or over the top of that mask using the sponge, and I'm going to do this all over the page. Now, once I've done a certain amount on this side, I'm going to wash the stencil, and then I'm going to bring it back and make sure it's all dry before I apply the second amount of black gesso. Okay, the stencil is now all washed and dried, and I'm going to flip the stencil over so I have a mirror image on the top of what I have on the bottom. So again, I'm going to apply the black gesso over the top of the mask and do exactly the same thing again. So once I'm happy with that, I'm then going to take the stencil and wash it again and then bring it back to do the other side. Okay, so I've washed the stencil again, and what I'm doing, I'm flipping it over, this time to the opposite side, and I'm going to repeat the process again, go over the the mask with the black gesso, and then when I've done that bit, I'm going to go and wash it again, and repeat the process on that final bottom right-hand corner of my double page spread. Okay, so all washed again, and I've just added a little bit more gesso into the lid of my pot, and I'm just going to go over this stencil again. So this time, this is the last bit. So as you can see, I have a mirror image on top and bottom and left and right hand side of my double page spread, which is the great thing about stencils and masks. You can do that kind of mirror imaging to make everything look, you know, the same or symmetrical. Now, because I've added the black gesso over the top of the copper paint, and this is a mask, what's left behind are copper cogs and gears, which is what I was going for. So I'm just very quickly going to go over the bottom part of that page just with a little bit more gesso, and then I'm going to be completely happy. I will throw the mask into the sink ready for washing later on, but it will wash fairly easy. So I've put the dictionary to one side for the minute, and I've got the Miss Moneypenny copper paint out again, and this is just a sponge spouncer or a sponge dauber, and all I'm going to do is cover these grunge board cogs that I've die cut out using the Tim Holtz Sprockets and Gears die. It's one of the big dies, and I'm literally just going to paint over the top of these sprockets and gears with that copper paint, trying not to get it everywhere. and then I'm going to give it a bit of a blast with the heat tool just to make sure that it's all nice and dry before I move on to adding a little bit more colour. Okay, now that my gears and cogs are all dry, I'm just going to have a little bit of a tidy up and remove some of that paint from my craft mat because I don't want it to get anywhere else, because I know it'll just lift up and scratch and just get everywhere. So I'm having a bit of a tidy up, a bit of a tidy craft moment, and then what I'm going to do is I will bring out 2 more metallic paints from Indigo Blue. Now this is going to be the green Emerald City and also the blue Sleeping Beauty, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a small amount of the blue and the green metallic paint together to create a kind of teal colour, which is going to act as a little bit of verdigris. So I'm just going to mix those together on my craft mat until I'm happy with that kind of greeny bluey kind of colour that I'm after, and then I'm going to just sponge that onto the cogs to add a little bit of kind of verdigris effect onto those cogs. Because we're using acrylic paint, if we get a little bit too much on, we can just wipe it back off again. So while those cogs are drying, I'm just going to grab a couple of baby wipes and some kitchen roll, and I'm just going to clear that mess up. I won't throw it away though, because I will use some of that paint later on in another project. So just clear it out of the way, and then I'm going to bring my dictionary back again. And while I've still got some of that wet verdigris effect kind of paint on that sponge, I'm just going to add some of that colour to the page as well into the background. Okay, now the cogs are all dry, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors to one of the big cogs, and then using some craft glue, just standard PVA, I'm going to start sticking those around the page. So I'm just going to glue all the cogs down onto the page in just to add a little bit of depth and dimension to this page. Okay, now the cogs are all nicely stuck down. I'm going to peel off the post-it note to reveal the word engine. So I wanted to add a bit more depth and dimension into the top right hand corner of the page, and also just to fill in some of the gaps up and down the sides. So this is the Steampunk Corner Thinlet die from Memory Box. Now I've already pre-cut this out of some bronze shimmer paper that I've got, and I think it works really well. You can't really tell that it's got a shimmery effect on it until you actually see the photographs towards the end, but you'll have to take my word for it. So what I'm doing is, rather than use the full corner, I'm actually cutting segments of the die cut and then adding those just in little areas like this piece here, which will go underneath the word block, and I'm literally just cutting out little strips of the cogs and just applying those around the page. But once I've finished applying the last of the little gear corner piece embellishments, I'm going to set the page aside for about an hour to let all that glue dry. Okay, so it's been about an hour or so and everything's dried, and as you can see, all that white craft glue has now vanished, so it's gone completely clear. And this is the Signo Uniball white rollerball gel pen, and all I'm going to do is just add some white highlights around the page where I think it needs them. So literally I'm just going to add a little bit of doodling, a little bit of white highlights just where I think it's going to be most effective. And of course the trick with using the white pen to create highlights and that kind of thing is knowing when to stop. So when I've suddenly decided that I've added enough and not to put any more in, I'm just going to use the same white pen to add my name and date, and that's it. I'm going to call this page completed. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me. I'll see you all again real soon. Bye for now.